for everyone wanting basketball season, our wishes came true.
That's right.
Last night, the NBA is back.
Wait, that's not the one we wanted.
I know, but it was hit the right notes, though.
Yeah, it did. It absolutely
kind of hit the right notes, though. That's not Joe Ovius. That's Hayes Permar sitting in for Joe. Rest management day for Joe Ovius
Load
today.
management?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm Joe
On
Giglio.
the first day of the NBA season?
I know,
he's
his
doing
favorite.
Load management?
His favorite.
Interesting.
So we will get to some of your gripes from your last appearance in a very special hate and ass Hayes segment.
Can I talk this? Can I manifest this? My goal for the podcast is to not talk too fast.
Oh, okay.
I truly believe that listening to podcasts on 1.5 speed is affecting my life. And because I'm like, this is the cadence that people talk in. So I am going to actively work to bring the same enthusiasm, excitement, and limited sports knowledge, because I have less time to spend looking at it now, that I always do in good times, but to talk a little bit slower. That's my goal. I'm going to work on it.
We're here today, of course, thanks to our friends at Empire Eats. Went over to the Morning Times this morning, got myself a delicious scone. Also got myself a coffee. So we'll thank our friends at Empire Eats. And of course, you can get a OG Light on draft.
I was going to say that
at the Raleigh Times, but you can also get it at the Rialto.
Beer before noon at the Raleigh Times. Don't ask how I know.
They do. And also big thanks to Copiers Plus, our corporate champion, Copiers Plus. All of your print and data management needs, go to copiers-plus.com. All right, let's just get to it, because the NBA returned last night, and I know what you're thinking, like, who really cares? But NBA on NBC returned last night, and then it has a lot of people of Gen X and a little bit younger,
our age,
absolutely in their feels because of what they were able to pull off. I'm just gonna go right to it, Hayes. I don't think there's any need to do anything else, but let's see what they did.
All right, run. When I say the NBA on NBC, what memories come to mind?
I have none, zero. 1990s?
Oh, I need a memory from there.
I have no idea.
I wasn't old enough.
I wasn't alive, man.
Like, yeah, you're joking, right? I was like, no.
Michael Jordan.
You really want to know that, right?
All right, so we get a little bit of mansplaining by Michael Jordan about what basketball was in the 90s, or when it was on NBC, and why it was so important, why these people have kind of the tingles of our generation that we do, right?
Yep.
My favorite one is Chet Holmgren saying, "Man, I wasn't alive." What are you talking about, man?
Here's what I thought was absolutely brilliant about it. And like you said, they didn't make it just NBA opening night. They took that branding NBA on NBC, and obviously they're going to spend a lot of money taking it back to NBC. Yeah. It's a big contract. They were going to make you know. And I thought it was genius. We are about to enter into what you and I lived through of the post-Jordan era, where there are budding superstars who are all very good at basketball, but not yet recognizable to the average, American sports fan. Even somebody like Anthony Edwards, who's been very good. It started out with SGA, the MVP last year, I believe. Chet Holmgren, now a title winner. I mean, these people are taking over the mantle of the league. Wembanyama, who many people will believe will be the best player maybe ever, but certainly of the next coming decades. And so admitting these guys are the stars, and we know they don't know what we're talking about, but they threw it to Jordan, and then they circle back. We're not going to show you the whole thing.
They got some other guys, but this is what everybody wanted to hear when they turned on the TV last night.
Sure.
This is the NBA on NBC.
Pac Pro, John Tesh.
John Tesh, that's right. I think what people wanted to see, this goes back to remember the NBA Finals last year, and it was on ESPN, and the complaint that people had was like, there's not even a fucking logo on the floor.
Yes.
Like, just pretend that we care.
Give us
that you care and that we matter.
The trophy
to you.
and the cursive logo means something, it means it's a bigger game with a bigger intro, or, something in the Wright Thompson genre of give me a dramatic voice. Find a
give
story.
me the intros, give me a logo. Let me know that this matters and that this is special. And I think that's what they did last night. I think that's what NBC did last night. They're reintroducing a whole new generation, as we saw from the players' reaction. But I think they're going to have a whole new generation of fans. Now, one slight problem, as you say, as we look for these stars and as we look, I think the NBA is better than it's ever been. And I know that there's people who don't agree with that. And it's not, they're not tough enough. They're not rough enough. They don't play enough, yada, 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 the whole thing. I get all that. But the real problem, as you mentioned, the Oklahoma City Thunder won the championship last year. Now their second best player is hurt, Jalen Williams. Okay. And the way that they win games, though, and the way that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander goes about being the MVP in the league is he truly is a free throw merchant.
Yep.
And
a little bit of that.
The end of the game.
Even to the end of that. Like
the end of the game being him, fishing for this call and getting it. And then winning in double overtime with these free throws was almost like NBC's worst nightmare, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, wow, we have this great night. We have all this cool stuff. I watched the first half of this game. Very entertaining game. Houston's on the come up. Ime Udoka, their coach, is whatever you think of him personally. He's an unbelievable coach. Houston obviously went out and got Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's not the player he used to be, but he can still stroke. Yep. He can still score. So it was a good game. I think the ending, though, has to be one where you're like, can't we just get, something besides this?
Yes, working for he wasn't going to get a good shot off.
Right.
And instead he got a foul that you probably have to call, but it really looked like it was honoring crafty offense over like hard, very good defense. The other thing I'll say is the only thing that might have saved it is they had already gone to 2 overtimes. Yeah. So you got some in-game drama, and people knew that as soon as that game ended, they were getting the very recognizable Los Angeles Lakers, even if LeBron isn't playing, and
Luka,
Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry. That was the other part I thought they did to bridge it together. They gave you a little bit of LeBron, Steph, KD saying, yes, I do remember 90s basketball. And I think they were trying to highlight these are still the stars. These are still the guys that if I'm flipping through a game, I'm going to stop to see Steph Curry. And he did Steph Curry things last night, not in a crazy way, but like late game, he's still throwing in a 35-foot three and, mugging a little bit to the crowd. But there are still brand name dudes who bring in everybody, and how the NBA works this next few seasons of getting from LeBron and Steph and KD to making sure that Edwards, SGA, Chet Holmgren, Wembanyama, those guys become as well liked as they are, not well liked, but well received and well publicized as they are good basketball players. That's the NBA's next challenge.
Since we're talking NBA hoops, all your favorite NBA players are back. And DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner in the NBA, is the place to bet on the NBA stars this season. New customers bet just $5 and can get 3 months of NBA League Pass. Plus, you can score $300 if your bet wins, paid in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code OG25. That's code OG25. Bet $5 and get 3 months of the NBA League Pass, plus $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, pass-through of per wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. NBA League Pass auto renews until canceled. Additional terms at dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
Housekeeping. Look at me hitting the housekeeping button right. And oh my gosh, I'm on fire today. Housekeeping is brought to you by Enovana. Enovana, your green cleaning solutions. All right, a little bit of housekeeping here. Hayes, you can get OG Light on draft at the Rialto.
And for if you're getting super niche here, we fixed tap 6 and no longer, dangles precipitously like, it was still serving beer, but it didn't look like it wanted to be serving beer. now it's back in there. Shout out to my man, Handy Andy, who comes in, never lets me pay him to fix my beer taps. But yes, it is flowing well out there at tap number 6.
If you look below, you'll see a link to our secret shop. Our guy, Mikey P, taking care of us. We got onesies. I'm super proud of the fact that we have onesies.
Can I get a shot of you guys modeling them?
No. These are for babies. These are for actual babies. Hats, onesies, shirts, sweatshirts, stickers, patches. Heck, you name it. We have it at the secret shop. The link is below. So please check that out. And then it's almost time, Hayes. It's almost time to go hit up our favorite spot over on Franklin Street. And that is Two Roosters, even though it's on Person Street.
You can call it Person. It's the North Person Street area.
Whoa, yes, that seems very specific.
It's because that area pops off. That's one of the best places in Raleigh, the North Person Street area.
So hit up our friends Two Roosters on North Person Street, or go over to Lake Boone Trail. They've got 5 locations. Greystone, they're out in Durham and Cary as well. So Two Roosters, tworoosters.com. And while you're over at Lake Boone, you can hit the Butcher's Market. Butcher's Market brings you OG Live every Thursday. We'll be in the studio tomorrow. Joe will be back. But also, they have unbelievable hot dogs and sausage. Make their own sausage, make their own bacon. Their hot dogs and sausage are really off the charts. And you think Butcher's Market, I want a steak. Well, yeah, they have that. They have unbelievable chicken, chops, you name it. They have all those great things. But everything they have is awesome. So check them out. It's thebutchersmarkets.com. And of course, I have my Roback on. You can get yourself a Roback. Use the promo code OG20. You could save 20% off your initial offer. I'm sure wherever Joe Ovias is today, he is wearing his Roback shacket. That is his. They finally found some things that Joe Ovias likes that are of his style, because he's not a golf polo kind of guy.
It like a skinny tie?
No,
he doesn't do that anymore.
Not yet. It's the shacket, the shirt jacket. But this is more of a classic.
A hater,
You are a hater. We'll get to the hate and ass Hayes segment here soon. So yes, use that promo code OG20, and you will save 20% on your initial offer with our friends at Roback. Only 2 games last night, where you got a full schedule tonight, including the Hornets opening up at home. Which Duke star are you more interested in following this season? Kon Knueppel with the Hornets, who take on the Nets at 7 tonight, or Cooper Flagg with the Mavericks at 9:30, opening against Wembanyama and the Spurs?
Because it's a great question, especially for a local podcast, because I'm a sicko. And because the Hornets did that little thing by winning the summer championship, that means absolutely nothing. But it gives me hope. Here's my hope. I think, I always appreciate that you're one who will put your opinion out there. You're like, I've been watching sports. I'm assessing things. Here it is. I might be dead wrong, but here's what I think, right? Whereas I'm one who's like, who could predict? Who could predict the career of a draft pick, right? We've seen enough of it go right or wrong. But I do think you're probably pretty spot on. And Flagg is not a bust if he does not become KD or Luka, right? And he will be fulfilling his destiny if he can be the third guy in a big 3 on a championship team, right? That is a very good, and you didn't waste money by drafting him 1. He is fulfilling his destiny. And I think you're kind of spot on in being like, he's not going to stink. He's not going to flame out. He's not some unathletic college
Michael
guy
Olowokandi.
Who can, but he's not a athletic freak who can, do some of the things that others can do.
Yeah, he's not Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's not Victor Wembanyama. He's a different type of player.
The reason, and partly because I believe you, my question is Kon Knueppel good enough to be, your third player on your big 3? Can he become a Klay Thompson?
Sure.
Can his shooting be so good and him do enough other things where he's maybe not the guy that the most pressure is on, but he becomes a true, not just an NBA starter, but a elevated NBA starter on a really good team. And I like some of the things he did. Have you seen his 1 foot stay on the ground move? The You know, when you jump,
Dirk Nowitzki, yeah.
you try and fake, and now the refs have gotten better about catching. If you leave the ground, you can't just start dribbling because you went into a shot.
Right.
But Condon has done the keep one foot on the ground and raise one knee so it makes even more look like I've fully gone into a jump shot, then put it down to go by you. Because he's going to have to learn some of those J.J. Redick moves of, I can't just be a spot-up shooter. How can I work to get open in other ways? I'm more interested in seeing how good Kon can be, even though obviously as a nation as a whole, we're more interested in Cooper Flagg. What about you?
I'm a little bit more interested in the Mavericks and Flagg just because I think the national conversation about Flagg, I think, is wrong. I think it is more of like, oh my gosh, he's some sort of one of one.
It could be Luka.
God, Bill Simmons. I mean, he has just been on his knees with the knee pads because they're convinced, Boston fans are convinced that he's going to play in 4 years at Dallas and then be 23 years old and be the star of the Celtics. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I don't, again, my point about Cooper Flagg all along has been he's going to be a helpful, and he's in a great situation, particularly when Kyrie comes back. But I think Dallas, Jason Kidd's, I think a really good coach. I think they have a great situation for him. He measured at 6'7" at the combine. I think people kind of forgot that. 6'7". Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, guess what really helps when you're that size? You can play the three now.
Yep.
They have Derek Lively. They have Anthony Davis while Anthony Davis is healthy. So I think it's a really good situation for him. But I'm going to be curious to see how it kind of plays out and the expectation level. The Hornets themselves, I would just like for Ball to be able to be healthy. Like I want to see him play a full season. Like I want to see them get a clean look at this thing. I mean, I don't think they're going to. The East is really wide open. Obviously, I don't think they're going to win the East, but it does feel like they've got a lot more parts in place than they've had in previous years. So it'd be interesting to see what they can do with a healthy LaMelo Ball.
I'm close to, and I don't pay enough attention to basketball to have an educated opinion on it. But there's certain guys where you decide this guy will always be entertaining. He will always be super talented. I just don't believe he's going to be the guy that elevates your winning. I don't want to name other names, but there's just guys like that we've seen over the years that you just start to get a feel of. I don't think winning is like your number one trait driven thing.
Yeah.
I'm worried we're in that zone with LaMelo. We're like, it's going to be hard to say.
Speaking of 6'7",
move on somebody that can do things that nobody else can do. He will, make highlight reels. He will make all kind of plays, but is he making, even the classic Jordan quality where it felt like he was carrying a team, but truly he was also at the same time getting the most out of every other player around him. That Steph Curry has done, that we've seen LeBron James do. I just don't know if LaMelo has that.
Speaking of Duke, they played an exhibition game last night in Durham. They beat UCF 96-71. If you just looked at the final score and then you looked at the box score and said, man, Cam Boozer, my gosh, what a beast. 33, 12, and 4 assists. You would be like, hey, yeah, I'm sure Duke's reloaded. They're ready to go. Obviously, they were missing Dame Sarr, who I think is going to be a little bit of an X factor for them this season. Malik Brown did not play either. So really, it was the Cam Boozer show last night. And also, Johnny Dawkins, obviously the coach at Central Florida, had a nice moment before this game with Mike Krzyzewski coming out. If you don't know your history, Johnny Dawkins is the individual player who really put Duke basketball on the map and really saved Mike Krzyzewski's job. So when you see Mike Krzyzewski walk out to half court and bow to Johnny Dawkins, that's why he's doing it. Not because he almost beat him in the NCAA tournament in 2019 with UCF
game.
in an
incredible game,
unbelievable game. But my working theory on the Boozer twins has been, you got to be careful now because not all 5 stars are created equal. And I just wonder what Duke's going to look like. And I've had some reports from some people I know who know Duke pretty well. And they were like, oh, no, he's a pro. But I don't, it's not the same situation as last year where you had Malwatch, Cooper, and Knueppel, where you knew, okay, they were locked and loaded and ready, and they knew what the assignment was. Boozer seems to be more of a guy who is a pro, will get drafted very high, will be a successful NBA player, but I'm not sure that he's wired the same way those other guys were. So it'll be interesting to see how that all kind of plays out. All right, let's take a hockey break with Mike Maniscalco, the voice of your Carolina Hurricanes, brought to you by our good friends at Brassfield Accounting. They're in Homer, Alaska, but they can be your fractional CFO anywhere, particularly if you have a government grant. They specialize in helping you handle your grants, your small businesses. They keep everything in order for you. Brassfieldaccounting.com. Mike, you are in Colorado, I believe. You're in Denver?
Correct. The
Joining us-
Sunshine State. Gorgeous.
Yes.
Joining us on the road as the Hurricanes prepare to take on the Avalanche on Thursday night. This is obviously a reunion with Marty Necas, who I see is off to a hot start. So it's October Marty, which means the Hurricanes should expect to see him score against them. I have this very simple query for you, though. After losing to the Knights, if the Hurricanes, -2 defensemen and probably using their backup goalie on Thursday, if they lose to Colorado on Thursday, should we panic?
No, it's an 82-game season, and you're going to lose to, if that happens in your scenario, you're going to be 5-2-0. And if I do that math, that's still 75 games left in the season. Now, I know that they might fall from the AP rankings, and I don't know what the UPI is going to do. And clearly, when you
those coaches,
look,
they always let the PR guy do the vote. You know,
when you fall out of the top 10, clearly in the rankings, there's an issue. No, absolutely not. And you look at this road trip. One, you're down 2 defensemen. 2, you've won 2 games with Brandon Bussey. And I mean, yes, you have to take a look at, in the one hand, the caliber of opponent that you've beaten. You've beaten San Jose and Anaheim, who you're supposed to beat. They still should be at the bottom of the league by the end of the year, but they're still pretty good. The Kings were a desperate team, and they showed it with their comeback against Carolina, but you found a way to get a win in overtime there. That game against Vegas was a really good hockey game. And it's funny because we all fixate on the results. Sports is a results-oriented business, but I look at the goals that Vegas scored, and this is what good teams do. They take advantage of mistakes or breakdowns, and the Canes made a couple of them. But the first goal, Jack Eichel's trying to throw it across. Maybe it's a goal if it gets to, I believe he was trying to put the puck to Barbashev, but it goes in off of Keandre Miller's stick. And then what are you going to do? And you just kind of shrug your shoulders and move on from there. The second goal they score is, an aggressive play by Carolina. You get caught in a bit of a pinch, and, they score the goal. And then the third goal, maybe it's a slashing penalty. Maybe it's not, to make it 3-1. But, the Canes were in the game. It wasn't like they were down 4-0 and were chasing the whole game against a team that, now that I've gotten to see Vegas up close and personal, and, oh, by the way, they were without Mark Stone and Noah Hannafin. But Vegas is really, really good. They don't have a regulation loss on the year. And these 3 teams on this part of the trip, not to give a super long-winded answer here, but you look at this, it's hard to win in Vegas, Colorado, and Dallas. So now for me, that you bank those 6 points to start it, this was, can you get 2 wins and have this become a phenomenal trip? Now it's like, just find a way to get 2 points in these last 2 games against Colorado and Dallas. And that's one, to start the season, that's one really successful trip for this Hurricanes team.
Can I do the thing that a lot of Canes fans are going to do anytime they can get somebody that's near the team and ask for injury updates? Because I assumed that this was Tulsky now learning the new system of which guy can we put on IR, take his salary off so we could add more people later. Like, none of these guys are actually hurt. It's just Tulsky playing the system. That's what I'm telling myself. Can you just give me general updates on all the guys who aren't playing currently? Because I know fans always ask that.
Sure. Well, we'll run down the list of the 2 guys who didn't make the trip, Jacob Slavin and Pyotr Kochetkov. They are still out with lower body concerns. And again, 75 games left. You don't need to rush somebody back. If you feel that their injury is something that, if you can manage now, get them through it, why put them on the ice if you don't have to? So they stayed back in Raleigh. You get your better treatment back in Raleigh, and you go from there. The concern would be that Shane Gostisbehere got hurt in the LA Kings game, and basically the Hurricanes played 2.5 periods without him. And the initial reports that we were given when we get the chance to talk to Rod Brindamore, that Rod said it's nothing that is concerning. It's nothing that seems like it's going to be a problem, but again, you would rather err on the side of caution early on than put somebody out on the ice and maybe aggravate something that you don't need to. Because, again, I will say this all year, and Gilio, I don't want to take away anything from what you might ask. And hey, it's great to see you as you're filling in. This team is going to be judged on what they do in April, May, and June. If they would have gone 82-0, that's great. What are you going to do in April, May, and June? And again, I am sorry that I have to come on and tell all of those Canes fans who are disappointed that they will not join all of those other unbeaten teams in the history of the NHL who went 82-0-0. And that's for every fan who believes their team should do that. You're going to lose games somewhere down the line in the schedule. But for the injuries, there's nothing that I have been told, and I go by what they tell me. Nothing that I've been told that you should do hand wringing and go, is somebody going to be headed towards LTIR? We'll know a lot more about the other two guys when we get off of this road trip and we get back to Raleigh on Sunday, which I believe we've been on this road trip for a year and a half right now. It feels like that.
So not injured, at least I don't think. What do you make of Andrei Svechnikov's ice time and his placement in the line order there?
That's a good question, Joe, and it's something that came up the other day, and it comes down to consistency. He just hasn't put together enough of a consistent game to where, okay, you put him back to where he started with Logan Stankoven and Jackson Blake. Taylor Hall got off to a great start to the season, and that's why he's up there, and that line is there. You just want to see more from Andrei Svechnikov, and it's not that it's been bad, but it's really been, there's more, and it's not there. And I think it's a confidence thing with him. And if one goes in, then you'll see him pour in more. That's what he has been like in his career. But right now, he's fighting his confidence as much as anything else. It's not a health concern. It's not anything that's out there. It's one of the things, too, that since Rod has been behind the bench, if he feels you deserve more minutes, he'll give you the minutes. And I think this is a case now. And by the way, that line with Eric Robinson, and if you want it to be Jesperi Kotkaniemi or if it's Mark Jankowski, that's still a really good line. But you're not going to get 17 minutes. That line knows where they're at, but they can produce. So go and produce with that line if you want to move up, or go and produce on the second power play unit, because they've been given an opportunity to do so, or when you get a chance to move up. And I think that's the thing. It's a curious thing to me. Is it something that should I be concerned about it? Should Canes fans? Yeah, I think that if you're going to have a concern in the early going, how come it's funny? How come he doesn't have points is a much different question for Andrei Svechnikov than what it was in my mind for Nikolai Ehlers, who didn't have a point in the first 5 games of the season. But then he got a big point, a great assist in that game against Vegas. And, he helped create it. But he was creating opportunities. He was getting his chances. But, yeah, if you want to have something, Joe, to be concerned about right now, that would be one. But if this gets fixed, if this gets solved, I don't know who, when you look at the East, can stack up with what the Canes can throw at you line after line after line if Andrei Svechnikov gets to the player that we know he can be.
Yeah, Rod's putting his work boots on there. There's something afoot there that you don't, not this early. You don't make those kind of decisions. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Obviously, he could be something of a primary asset that could be moved. As I think the Hurricanes will try to make some adjustments as this year goes along, because that's what they do. Well, let's talk a little bit about Brandon Bussi, because I think we've gotten used to them. Like, of course, we had the e-bug. Of course, we've had like any number of goalies come in and just be perfectly acceptable, right? I don't think people understand. Those were his first 2 career games for Brandon Bussi here at the age of 27. Like, that's fairly remarkable for him to come in as like this lifetime journeyman and just be like, hey, look at me. Like, by the way, missing their best player. I'm going to make a point. This year, I'm finally making a point of pointing out that Jacob Slavin is the Carolina Hurricanes' best player. And we have to get it out of our brain that it has to be a forward. It doesn't. Okay.
No.
So they're missing their best player. You're missing another defenseman now. And this guy's just like, hey, man, I'm cool. Bring me in. That's a pretty nice little trick there, I think.
Yeah, well, it's funny because what's the one thing that you usually hear about goaltending? I know that your normal partner in crime says it. It's goaltending is voodoo.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes a guy, depending on what system he's in, there's 2 goalies, 3 goalies who are blocking him, and he doesn't get a chance. It's rare to me are the goalies who can jump right in at 19, 20 years old and play well in the NHL. So I think the thing that I noticed that stood out to me about Brandon Bussi is his calm demeanor. Like, he soaked all of this up. I mean, he was grateful to be here, and this is a huge opportunity for him. But it wasn't the, oh, golly gee, shucks, I'm just so happy to be here. He put together 3 really good years in the AHL with Providence. He won twice as many as he lost. I think I don't have the official numbers in front of me, but I think he was 61-31 in 12. And that's a pretty damn hard league to play in. And that's for the Providence Bruins. And if you want to go take a look at the Bruins pipeline, it's not as like they're filled with players who are coming up and are lighting the world on fire. Now, it doesn't mean that the players they have down there didn't know how to play, but he knows that he could play professional hockey, and he was waiting for the opportunity. And this is the one thing, if I am a goaltender and the Carolina Hurricanes call my phone and say, we want to give you a contract, even if I've got to go to Chicago and play, but to be in the system with a chance to play in the NHL, where do I sign? Because we can go back to Spencer Martin and Dustin Tokarski, and then we can go all the way back. Let's start this in the Rod Brindamore era with Curtis McElhaney and Peter Mrazek, and then you just keep going on Antti Ranta. Every goaltender who comes in and plays for this team, they become much better than where they were in other places. And it's because of the team in front of them, the system that they play. They don't see a ton of shots, all of the things that we can go into. And yeah, the Canes' best player is Jacob Slavin. And you're absolutely right. Rod said that the other day. Folks, wrap your mind around that. There's nothing wrong with it that he doesn't score 95 points. He is the best for me. He is the best defensive defenseman in this league. It's not close because of how he plays. He's the modern day defenseman. So yeah, back to the Bussi situation. He doesn't have Jacob Slavin in front of him, but he has this team. And Keandre Miller defensively, I keep waiting for it. And they're going to be gaffes, right? Everybody's going to make a mistake at some point in time. So I don't want people to sit here and think that I am saying he has been perfect, but I was expecting way more of a learning curve for a guy who didn't play 1 second in the preseason in this system defensively. And Miller has stepped in, and it's like he's been playing here for the last 3 years. So to answer your question, Bussi's got a great demeanor. He was, I think, built for the moment because it wasn't too big for him because he was 27.
Yeah.
If he was 22, 23, maybe this moment is a little bit too big for him. But he was waiting for it, and he's been a pro, and he's just actually he's a good guy to have in the room. He's a good guy to be around because this is, while he's not taking any moment of this for granted, he also isn't like, oh, gee, should I be here? No, he believes that he just needed the opportunity to show he could play in the league, and he's 2-0 right now. 2-0, of course, if we're going to pull out the full stats. I don't want the yellow notebook to have the wrong number out there, Joe.
I got you.
I know you guys have been on to Vegas and now going on to Colorado, but when you were playing the Sharks, the Ducks, and the Kings, I assume the town was papered with ACC logo, and everybody was did the Canes go support the hometown team in their rivalry with the Cal Bears while you were out there? I noticed you guys were off on that Friday night. Like, what's the ACC scene like out there?
I mean, when we talk about ACC legends, John Elway, reminiscing about all of those big wins that he had with Stanford, and I can't forget legendary Joe Kapp.
That's just all they're talking
when
about.
He was playing at Cal. Those huge Cal versus Pitt ACC rivalry games that I think Giglio covered back in the 50s, 60s.
In the arenas,
honestly, the hockey games, and I hate to say this to you, Hayes, the hockey games were taking a backseat to everybody talking about ACC in California. Yeah.
Along those same lines, with the changing landscape of sports and a recognition that it's always been changing, I believe tomorrow night we're doing Whalers versus Nordiques. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Does it work the same? Look at me doing research for the show, Joe Giglio. Did you see the surprise on his face? You know that. That's actually a good question. Do Quebec fans get like as triggered as Boston fans when it's worse?
Oh yeah.
Then I love this even better. So is that I haven't paid. Has this happened often? And have we been doing Whalers Nordiques games before? And I just love triggering these old fan bases.
Nope, we have not. We have not been doing this before, at least not to the point of it's like the original jerseys for both of these teams. The Avalanche have worn a throwback once, but it was a reverse retro that it incorporated the Avalanche's colors to it. And then this is to my knowledge of following the jerseys that are out there. There are people who do this, way, way better than I do. The people in Hartford, the people in Quebec City are triggered. That's a good word. Way more, people in New England, they have the Bruins, they still have whatever, but those were their only professional teams that they have. Of course, anything in Canada, if it's hockey related, it should never go anywhere else. It's Canadian, purely all of that. And then it's French Canadian. So there's another level that you can get to that people will get mad about. I don't know why people are mad about this, because would you rather have everybody completely forget that these organizations existed? To me, it's a nod to the past. And look, I grew up in the Adams division. So for me to see the Whalers versus the Nordiques and to call a game where those jerseys are going to be on the ice, that's cool for me. I get that people get pissed that, my team isn't there anymore and, this is a slap in our face. Is it? I don't view it that way. I think it's a slap in the face to say that we have absolutely no ties to you anymore. Forget that you even existed. I think that's worse. I'm trying to be a realist on it, but if you live in Quebec City, you live in Hartford, you're going to be mad about it. I understand why you are, but for people, when they see this, they're going to get angry, for any reason because their teams aren't there. This should, for a moment, just be okay with this. I get everything else, but there's also a reason why those teams aren't there, and we can go down a laundry list. Hell, we could do a 9-hour show to try to figure it out. And there it is. And I'm sorry, if you grew up in the 80s and in early 90s, that's kind of cool to see. That's just me. But I know people are going to be pissed. I just think that it would be way worse if we didn't acknowledge that these ever existed. Here's a chance to say, look, this was great. We love the uniforms. It's part of hockey history. We want to bring it to life for a night or two a year. I think that's fine.
They could take a lesson from ACC fans and like realizing the thing that you believed in has changed and evolved, and like just laugh and enjoy it and realize it's the business of sports. And like you said, enjoy the fact that they actually still honor it instead of pretending like you don't exist. So I'm all about have fun with it. My last question, Joe might have another one, but do you need me to put your trash out since you are now in the neighborhood, my man? I want to cross town to do favors for you, but now that you're right there near me, let me know if you need anything. I can let the dog out, put the trash out, whatever you need. I know it's a long trip for you. We're all trying to contribute to support our game, so let me know.
Well, that's great. I will ask my better half who's there if there's any help with the yard work or anything that needs to get done, but she is more than capable in doing that. But I appreciate that, neighbor. Thank you very much. I think we're good though.
Anytime, my man.
All right, Mike Maniscalco, catch him on Thursday night on the Not DraftKings Network, 9:00. Canes versus the Avs, or Whalers versus the Nordiques, whatever you want to call it. Should be a really good game. Mike, appreciate you taking the time. And again, thanks to our friends at Brassfield Accounting for bringing you to us.
Appreciate it, boys. Anytime. Happy to wake up early in any time zone for you.
We just took a hockey break with our friend Mike Maniscalco. You should give yourself a break and have yourself a delicious lunch. Go to Happy and Hale in North Hills or Six Forks. Check them out. Use the app, Happy and Hale. Get a free smoothie when you sign up for the app. You also get a free bowl when it's within a month of your birthday, even if your birthday has passed. So sign up for the app. Also, if you use our promo code OG25, you can save 25% on your first order. So do that. Check them out. Happy and Hale. I know Joe Ovias will be running around today getting himself an Almond Brothers smoothie thanks to our friends at Happy and Hale. Now, the next time I'm over at the Rialto, I think up in the bathroom that I've not really
Let's not
learned
talk about it.
not really learned how to use. I need to get you some like room darkening shades for that bathroom. I think that's what we need. Blooming Blinds can handle that. I don't know if you've seen this, how unbelievable. Are you a napper like I am?
Yes.
I
In fact,
live for a nap.
I claim that I don't. When people are like, "Oh, when do you like sleep or go to bed?" I'm like, I don't sleep. I nap. I only nap.
I love a nap. So do yourself a favor, get that living room or family room, wherever you doze off on that couch. Get that room darkening shades, or maybe you're moving into a new place. Let me tell you, I put up 28 blinds myself with my wife, of course. That was a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Pay
Not me.
our friends at Blue Blinds to help you out. They'll do a much better job than I did either. But give them a call, 919-980-9815. And while you're at it doing all these home improvement things, you already invested in your grill. Well, if you're like me, every year you're like, well, what am I supposed to do with this grill? Am I going to clean it, or am I just going to go buy a new one? Got a great idea. Hit up our friends at ncgrillrescue.com. That's ncgrillrescue.com. They helped out Ken, the bourbon maven Ken, our UNC super fan Ken. And I went over to the Oktoberfest, and that grill, literally, I was like, we can eat off of this. It's amazing.
I might hit them up, and like I truly might present them with a challenge. I fear that they will come out and be like, "This is too embarrassing. You've let this go too long. We'll set you up with our guys to buy a new one, but we can't clean this." I might have a challenge for them that they can't beat.
So I know what you're thinking. It's like, oh, they're just going to take the grates and scrub it, or they just no. There's a whole entire process that they go through to really make your grill like new. And if you are like me, you know where the hot spots are in your grill. You don't want to go out and buy a new grill. So instead, get it cleaned up. ncgrillrescue.com. Big thanks to our friends at Grill Rescue. They do such a great job. Again, the work they did on Ken.
I need to use
and Ken's
them.
wasn't even that bad.
I need to use them.
Ken's wasn't even that bad because he is one of those like permanent outdoor ones,
Yeah.
It's really nice, nice
yeah,
setup.
yeah.
But I was like, wow, like that's crazy. So hit them up, ncgrillrescue.com. Joining us now in studio on the Heister in person hotline is Alec Makarewicz, Chicago White Sox minor league system, NC State legend for sure, ECU grad. For another 2 years, you could be my favorite ECU grad still.
Yeah, I guess so.
You get to hold that distinction for at least until James Vito is done over in Greenville. But had the fortune of seeing you before the Tulsa football game. Great to catch up with you. Great to see Kayla, more importantly. And Hayes Permar, while a minor league baseball savant, has more important questions for you about your nuptials and your upcoming
what
weddings.
we're doing there. I need to know how it's happening, what the game plan is.
While we will talk about baseball,
what we're serving, food, beverage. I've got questions. Yeah.
Yeah, we're using Rocky Top Catering.
Oh, solid. Very solid. Yes, absolutely. I have. So already off to a good start. We can move on to the baseball questions. Will
there be alcohol?
Yes.
Always. That's like the in the flow chart. If it goes directly to like start replanning, if it's like no, it's like start over. We need alcohol there,
and it'll be in the greater Greenville area.
It's in Selma,
kind of
Selma
between, sort of in the between zone.
Right.
Joke Moose, the Weather Moose's country.
Oh, okay.
Down there in Selma.
All right, so that's next month.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right,
do the walkthrough here soon.
It's a good off season for you. Then.
Do you know this? I'll throw this in real quick. I don't think Selma's one of them, and I don't even think Greenville's one of them. There are towns in eastern North Carolina, Tarboro being one of them. If you got married, it was social etiquette to put your wedding invitation in the newspaper and invite everyone in town. And I'm saying this is not too long ago in a town like Selma. Again, I know you're just using it as a wedding venue, so just be glad you can actually, like, people from Tarboro would be like, I'm just getting married at the beach, so I don't have to put it in the paper. So be glad you don't have to invite everyone. Partly because newspapers are dead now, and it's not a thing anymore.
Unfortunately,
yes.
How many people are we expecting?
There's a limit. There's a limit on here, so we definitely couldn't put it in the newspaper.
I mean, that was one of the things you had to plan to. But now I feel bad. This has already become a wedding interview, and I'm trying to stay out of it. Do your baseball questions. I've got some of those too.
Perfect.
Let's go.
Perfect. So first of all, congratulations. You finished the year at AA with Birmingham, and you guys won the AA championship.
Yeah,
Like
congrats.
that's actually kind of cool. I know you were only there for 8 games, but that had to be like a cool little like an awesome way to end your first full professional year in baseball.
Yeah, it was awesome. I was in Winston-Salem all year and until the last month, so was able to spend about a month there in Birmingham, and a lot of big names there, and it was a good group, fun group of guys. Everyone was having a good time because they were winning as well, so that made it way more enjoyable.
My only question about the Barons is, do they still have like Michael Jordan's locker marked? Or I don't even know if it's the same
They
stadium.
had a few, like
big.
big posters of Jordan like in our stadium.
Gotcha. But you don't know whether or not you had his locker. Like,
there was nothing like crossed off like Jordan was here.
Rusty LaRue style, like getting the locker after Jordan.
No, that's Florida State. Remember they put Deion Sanders for football. Florida State football literally
they retired the locker.
They retired his locker. They enclosed it in glass.
I mean, I would think
and it was like preserved.
I would think that maybe Birmingham, like minor league baseball, one of those places that obviously is playing real baseball, but for promotion's sake needs to bring in other things. I could have seen the Barons being like, this was Jordan's, locker room.
And for those
excuse me,
for those who are watching on the YouTubes now, I'm going to pull this up. You had a chance to have a big boy celebration in the locker room. I have the picture from your Facebook of I'm assuming, I mean, there's some cigars and some beer. Was there champagne?
Yeah, there's like 40 bottles of champagne in there.
There we go.
So we made a mess in there. We
Was
also
that
made a
your
mess in
place or no?
Chattanooga too, and that was the division championship. That was the last game ever played in that stadium in Chattanooga. So that was kind of a cool thing that we did.
In another life, Hayes did a radio program, and one of my favorite segments that he ever did was rightly rated, overrated,
or
underrated.
Yep.
And baseball, I think, does postseason celebrations better than anybody. Like the Hurricanes in the NHL, when they win a round, they're like, I'm going to go do some Kaiser chops.
You're not supposed to. It's
I'm
like
going to get on the bike.
form.
Yeah. Baseball is like, we won the 1-game playoff to get into the playoff. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
Throwing a huge party.
Toronto's ALCS celebration seemed more than, and this is not a knock, this is an
right.
observation.
No, they do it
seemed
right.
as big as some other leagues' championship celebrations. And yes, I think you got to do that. I think that's what the fans are kind of want, of like, it's been this long, and so I'm all for it. Like, that life is short. Celebrate things that are great. Right?
It's such a hard game too. Like baseball's so hard.
Yes.
I think that's what everyone knows, and they're like, it could flip the next day. So you got to enjoy those wins.
And you could do everything right, and still it doesn't go your way, right? Like you could play a great season, line up a great team, have all the things you should do right, and it just, in the 7 games that you played with somebody, it doesn't go the way that it probably should have. And so, like, you got to celebrate that the things were on your side and all the hard work you put in. Absolutely.
So you spent most of the year in Winston-Salem, 110 games there. I'm curious, what was the grind like? You hear about the famous minor league. I don't know if you're still riding buses. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if you're sleeping in staying in an apartment with 8 other of your teammates. I don't know. Like, I don't know what's real and what's fake at this point. So what was the year like down at with the Dash?
So yeah, before the Dash, I would say about like the living you were asking. You share a room in low A. But then once you get to high A for single A with the Dash, it's you get your own 2-bedroom apartment.
Whoa, spacious.
Own bathroom. So
yeah,
it's kind of like, I think like that, and through AAA
okay.
with our organization. But some organizations kind of change it a little bit. And then we use buses. We use a sleeper bus if the trip's over like a certain amount of hours, and you can get your own bed, and it's kind of nice.
Can you actually sleep on a sleeper bus?
Yeah, if you're tired, and it also depends how big you are, because a lot of the guys are taller than me. I'm 6'3", but there's guys that a lot of the pitchers are over like 6'5", so it's probably a little crammier for them in there.
So what's next? Because you came over, we spent we had a great episode in the summer right before the draft. Now, you weren't drafted, but you end up signing with the White Sox. You finished the 24 season in the minors. Now you start this year, Winston-Salem, finish in AA. So what's next for you?
I'll go back to spring training, get like a 2 weeks notice, I think around early February, and go from there. Kind of just get reassigned right before April.
Okay.
And another year starts.
Are we at like DEFCON 2, DEFCON 1? Where are we in terms of like a contract? Is that all stuff that happens after spring training? How does all that work?
I think because I was a free agent I think there's like either 5 years in the minors, you would renegotiate
Okay.
another contract.
Okay.
I think.
So you have a
And then
contract.
if you make it to the big leagues,
Totally
then
different.
I think you might be able to do something there.
Okay.
But I don't know all of the details on that.
Couple questions. What's the biggest difference, either whether it's on the field, off the field? Obviously in college, you played for different teams. It was, the business of baseball had started. What's the best fit for me and the team combination? But now that continues. Like, you may be doing well in one place and the team says, I want to move you here. I'm sure you have conversations with other people about it, but it also you're at the whims of other things. What's been the biggest difference between playing in college and playing in the pros?
Definitely adjusting, especially at every level, because I've jumped 3 levels in a year. So it's like I just got to make quicker adjustments, because you can have a few bad weeks and you're like, oh my gosh, like this looks so bad. But then you can have the best month. Like I had player of the month in July and then played really well in August, and it almost doubled a lot of my statistics on the year. And it's like just that flow of things is a lot quicker in pro ball.
I actually used to do PA in the minor leagues as well. I was the
He's
first
a wingnut. Yeah.
I was the first person to professionally announce Dansby Swanson's at bats, Jackson Churio's at bats. They all came here through Zebulon to start their career. A couple Corbin Burnson, a couple other pitchers who were with the Brewers but have now gone somewhere else. One thing I always think about is you could usually see the guys who sort of had the talent that it was clear they were being earmarked for going somewhere else, but it didn't necessarily always translate to their stats. Because I guess in minor leagues, they might not be telling a pitcher, you're trying to win the most games, right? In minor leagues, they're telling you, we want to see, if it's a pitcher, we want to see you work on your curveball. If it's a hitter, it's like, we want to see you work on the thing that you need to do to be a professional hitter. How hard is it to balance trying to just be the best I could be? Like, this is the way I could hit the most home runs this year versus this is the way I could show my team and my bosses that my game is growing. I can do other things, is like weighing the development versus just the flat out showing success on the field. How do you do that in the minor league system?
Yeah, I mean, obviously until playoffs, everyone wants to win a lot more in the minor leagues, but yeah, like it's really big on development. That's really what you're there for. So, yeah, like there's a bunch of different coordinators that'll come into town and they'll talk to you about, what you should be working on or what they've been seeing, even though they're not like even there. And then you have like your hitting coach that's like with you every day, that's also talking to you. So it's just a lot of like, you got to communicate with everyone. I feel like that's the biggest thing. But yeah, they really care about development in the minor leagues.
Is it ever as strict as, Alec, I don't care how many home runs you hit in the next 2 weeks. I want to see you turn on an inside pitch or like handle the slider better. Like, I don't care if you strike out. I don't care because I just want to work on this one skill. Is it like that black and white of like, stop trying to hit home runs and just focus on this thing while we're teaching you this?
Yeah, I've definitely overheard some conversations and some stuff kind of sounds like what you were just saying. I've definitely heard some things like that being talked about.
I mean, is that hard?
But usually when they're trying to give you that advice, it's like, it ends up helping the rest of your game anyways. So I feel like they just try to take the pressure off of you, I feel like, and that helps.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Well, you got to answer a question that I've always had last week. So you're here today in Raleigh, you're working out over at the Doak at NC State, but I also saw you at an ECU football game.
Yep.
Your fiance's family, obviously, and your fiance went to ECU,
Yes,
right?
yep.
So like your
whole family pretty much.
That's kind of nice, right? Like how was the experience? Like, did you get any nonsense? Because when you went back for the game in 24, you were mistreated, if you will. Like, I mean, people were not very nice to you, to put it mildly. So are you able now in 2025 just to go to an ECU football game and enjoy yourself and see some of your old friends and see some people you went to school with?
Yeah, I mean, like the first game back, like you were saying, the
baseball
mistreated.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't recognized at the ring ceremony. So yeah, that was that was tough. But yeah, I mean, I have a lot of family and friends there, so I go back and it's nice to see them. And I'm still gonna go to games there. I live there and graduated from there. But yeah, it's also been almost 2 years since I left. So that was like a lot more fresh. And there's those fans that just hate NC State and don't know my whole situation. So like they'll look at me like I'm a criminal or something. And then there's the other people that just kind of like, followed me and, cheered me on. So it's always just like a whirlwind.
Just to clarify, they had the ring ceremony for what in particular? When you say
for the winning the American Conference regular season.
and so State
in
was playing
2023.
State was playing at ECU.
No, it was just a football game.
Oh, gotcha,
that-
gotcha.
yeah,
I
yeah.
thought you were saying like you were there in the stadium playing for State, and they were like, but then you
it
just
was
didn't get
during
invited.
the fall, and like I had the time off from the NC State practice.
But you didn't get
and
invited.
I was like at the football game, but I wasn't like out on the field or like
Gotcha.
welcome.
And then, and I'm not trying to out anybody, but I truly am curious. When you say treated poorly, is that all on the field? Like you were booed and stuff like that? Or
Whenever I went back to play against, we talked about on the last podcast.
I bet
it
I
was
do
just-
listen.
Yeah,
That's
it was-
fine.
yeah, on the
I'll hear
last
everything.
podcast, he said like it was just like a lot of booze and stuff because it was like a sold out crowd. And
But that
like my first at
that
bat.
you're okay as a sports fan. You're okay with that,
Yeah, I mean,
right?
that was kind of expected because you knew you'd like, all right, like half these people don't know me. They just know that I transferred to another school
Gotcha.
that they play against. And it's
Booing
competitive.
during a game, I'm okay with. If like sub dogs like locked their doors when they saw you coming, that's like taking it too far into like real life, right? You know, like
There was a home run involved. There was some talk from like his former teammates. Like
on
it
field,
was a
on
weird.
field, I gotta say, like I'm kind of okay with, right? Like in the same way, I'm totally okay with your decision and doing career. And we're gonna see this more and more. We're gonna see. Sorry to make it about basketball, but we're here in the triangle. We're gonna see Vin Allen Lubin play against UNC. We kind of did with Styles,
Yeah,
but it's gonna be different.
Yeah,
and I'm okay with fans being mad about you were on our team last year, right? In the arena. Outside, I think people need to be humans and treat people with respect. So
yeah, at the end of the day, there's right and wrong. So
yeah. Okay, all right.
Hey Mac, Alec Makarewicz, appreciate you taking some time for us. I have a parting gift for you right there. Some brown liquor,
Appreciate
of
it.
course.
My last question about the wedding,
because he did graduate from ECU, so he knows.
Will you do the Macarena, but just say Makarewicz at your wedding?
Oh, I actually did do it as a walk-up song this year.
Did you?
Oh, look at that.
For like a week because
I
then I was
told
like,
him.
Dude, I think
I
that's
gotta go back.
I honestly didn't hear that, so it's good
Yeah.
we're thinking of it.
Yeah, we might put it on the. We actually have to go over that like right now, like ASAP.
Let's
the
get the-
DJ list for the wedding.
Let's get the groomsmen and bridesmaids in on the Makarewicz. Maybe instead of like the hip toss, you could do a baseball swing or something. Like do a little. I'm just putting it out there. Normal Macarena, but with a twist for the Makarewicz.
I'm all for the ideas.
All right.
It's a lot of planning. We still got to finish.
It'll be
up.
fun. My biggest advice is day of, you do all the planning you can, almost like playing a sport, right? Do all the preparation you can, but don't try and overthink it day of. You just got to like go with the flow, react. The imperfections will be what makes it perfect.
yeah.
Everything's not going to go exactly as planned, but that's good. What's going to make it perfect for your life.
We're gonna enjoy it. We're gonna have all of our
Good.
people around us, and
That's most
hopefully
important
it's a
thing.
good time.
The most important thing. It's not most important that everything went on time as exactly coordinated by the wedding planner. Most important is you have your people around you and you have a good time.
I always give everyone who's about to get married the same advice. Make sure you eat at your wedding, because that's
Okay.
the number one thing. People are like, all of a sudden you're drinking something, and then all of a sudden you're like, I need to slow down just a little bit. A lot of people forget to eat, so make sure you eat at your wedding. Enjoy it, man, and best of luck in February. Going to the White Sox training camp. We'll see where you start next year. You're always welcome here at the Eford Studios. You know that.
Appreciate it. It's a good vibe in here. I love it.
Posted this on Instagram the other day, but sometimes people will ask me, hey, do you miss beat writing? And I'm like, no, because the schools, they don't give you the same access that they used to. It's tougher to have relationships, right? It just is. But when AMAC reached out to me last week, was like, hey man, I see that you're at the Tulsa game. Sent me a text, came over, met his fiance, met his soon-to-be father-in-law too. They're big ECU fans. Like that was cool. And seeing Joe Selfo the night before, a former NC State football player, now on the Tulsa football coaching staff, I was like, it warms my heart, Hayes. So made me feel alive, if you will. I got another way to make you feel alive. You could save some money by calling my friend Matt Davis, or check out InsureGarner.com, 919-779-8277. Maybe you want to save money on your home or auto or your business insurance. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe you need some financial service help. What am I supposed to do with all this money that I'm now saving? Matt can help you with that too. Again, check them out, InsureGarner.com, or give them a call, 919-779-8277. Matt is in the G. You can't be in the G and escape my friends at Hometown Realty. You want to move to Garner? Or
I've lived there.
You had friends in Garner.
I've done my time. I've lived in Garner.
You might be vital to the rebuilding of downtown or building of downtown.
We're working on it.
But my friends at Hometown Realty can help you do just that. It's myhtr.com. Buy and sell with confidence. I hear these ads when I'm in the car on radio for guaranteed offers. People, don't be stupid. Just don't stamp the word stupid on your forehead. Okay? Be smart. Go with the local professionals who know what they're doing and can get you the best possible deal for your primary investment. That's Hometown Realty, myhtr.com. And of course, once you close, you're going to need some help. That's where Whitaker and Hamer, wh.lawyer. They come in. Closings, business sales, any kind of family law, traffic violations. Maybe you need to get out of a contract, James Franklin style.
I was like, why are you pointing at me? Is there a contract I need to get out of that I don't know? There probably is. I just wasn't at the top of mind.
All the things that you need legal help with, Josh Whitaker, Joe Hamer can take care of all of your needs. wh.lawyer. There he is, Zeus in a bra. That can only mean one thing. It's time for the lightning round. Hayes Permar is here, and he has come armed with a list of grievances. So last week when you came on, before the Canes opener, we were over at the local. Thanks to everyone who came out and joined us and got themselves ready for the hockey season, including your guy who got tickets.
Yes, Andrew Cook. Congratulations. He was very happy.
Well done. We ended up with a 2-hour podcast, which...
Yes.
I don't know. Joe Ovius, while he was out of town, came back and he came in guns blazing on Monday, and he was like, yeah, man, we got to talk about this 2-hour podcast. And it wasn't my fault, or it wasn't the fault that we talked to Seth Jarvis for 40 minutes.
What?
It was
a little bit. That was a little bit of it.
It was your fault, Hayes Permar.
All right. A couple things that I want on this. And I think we'll end with a compliment that I hope Joe Ovius will appreciate. First, as I told you off the air, I have been misnamed as Hating Ass Hayes.
No, this is the Hating Ass Hayes segment.
That is pure projection from Joe Ovius. I am a ray of sunshine, and he would only be described as a hater by folks who know us both well. So, and oftentimes, yes, maybe I make a little suggestion to the pod, and I put him with some sarcasm, and it's fun, but I am not a hater. So I wanted a couple things. One, I want a full audit of that podcast, because I did walk away being like, did I have a couple too many beers and start getting loose there? Because, Joe was just, had the tab down. But when I listened to it, I was like, that was very entertaining. Chip was working in jokes that I didn't even know, I missed at the time. We were having fun. You had your great bit on Belichick.
Yeah.
Then we started out a little bit being clowning, and then we sort of eased off and let you finish your nice piece of body of work.
Okay.
But if we audit, I believe I was the third most talking person between you, me, and Chip, and I somehow got saddled with we got Hayes in here. I was like, I'm talking less, as I should be, because Chip knows more about college football and you're the host or whatever. And then the bigger one is, I don't think my personal podcast preferences, and don't let me substitute that with what the norm is. I get that there are times where, we want to be able to make this fit for a certain amount so that then we can, fit it into a replay later or whatever, or in general, my podcast preferences is I don't look at how long a podcast is when I start it, right? Maybe I have skipped some content. Perhaps it's a Stanford basketball coach that I care less about, or like I'm behind on my podcasts, so I'm jumping through some stuff. But I find myself more times I walk my dogs. I'm changing letters on the marquee. I do a lot of things with my headphones in.
Yeah.
I'm more annoyed when I've exhausted you guys, Bomani, my National Sports Podcast, and I'm like, great, I don't have anything else. At least you guys do almost every day. I appreciate that. Some of these other people are Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But I have never complained, why is this still going on? Like, maybe if I had a commute that was exactly an hour long and it was perfect to listen to you guys every day, and I got annoyed that it cut off, but otherwise, people are going to listen to as much as they want to listen. That's not to say you should aim for 3-hour podcasts, but I don't think good content going a little long. I think Ovius is still caught in radio land. We know how that goes sometimes. Yeah. I think your podcast, I've never been like, well, that one just went on way too long. Again, maybe an interview that isn't directed at me specifically. I'm like, I might skip through. Yeah, but I've never been overwhelmed by that podcast. It's just too long, whether it was me or not. So
okay,
I always appreciate being invited, and I thought we had fun that day.
Let's see what this one is. Hold on. All right, now for Monday's podcast, where we could not, for the life of us, come up with the name of the music or the band or anything else. My mentor, Colton Tudor, was a big
born and bred North Carolina guy, Eastern North Carolina guy.
Andrew, ride or die, man.
Probably the Johnson County side of Andrew, not even the Wake side of Andrew.
And he loved to shag.
Yes.
He loved the music.
You had the name of the dance right.
That I could not come up with. And I could see you listening at 1.5 speed, like trying to scream at beach music, Julio. Beach music, Julio.
Now, a couple things that I because I am not a hater, I will give you guys credit for multiple things. One, when you were like, oh, it's a concert at every UNC home football, and you were like, it was ludicrous. Then you looked up, it was Collective Soul, and you're like, I don't know, is it just going to be some like? The joke was it's going to be random beach music band next week
because there's only two games left, and they're both TBA.
Totally fair. Like that, the joke, the inference that it might just be the Embers or somebody. Totally fair. And you were totally on board with. Then the part that got me mad was when you were like shag music, and you're like, So I was mad then. Then Ovius pulled me back when he said chairman of the board.
Yeah,
I was like, whoa, he's naming Carolina girls. I would have been more impressed with like dangling on a string or some other deeper cuts, but no, it is beach music, which radio people always tell you when they move to North Carolina, and like the rules are like, never be late for a shift, and beach music is not the Beach Boys. It's
right.
Like when they call and ask for beach music, do not put on the Beach Boys. Let me explain what it is to you. So again, I hope if you go back and listen, I was mostly complimentary, not haterish. It was a good joke. That is something that UNC would have, and Ovius nailed a band and a song, so I'll give him that. Can I just tell you what beach music actually is?
Yeah,
and it's kind of interesting. And this is a North Carolina history lesson. Have you ever heard the term race records?
No.
It was basically a term in the South for black music before they came up with marketing terms like R&B, rhythm and blues. Race records was because people wanted you to know this is black music, and depending on our town, our state, we don't play those in the 40s and 50s. We're not playing race records here, right? Hillbilly music was a term for country music to let you know this is white people. It's okay. Or depending on where you were, like don't play hillbilly music.
Sure.
So race records was a term in the cities in the South. You didn't hear a lot of black artists, but the young people would go to the beach towns, specifically Myrtle Beach, but then up along North Carolina, Atlantic Beach, and other places, and they would hear, I won't get all the artists, but like the Sam Cookes and the Otis Reddings and like that style of artists singing what we now know as R&B and soul music. And they'd be like, this is awesome. Really good. And they wanted to dance to it. But when they were like, hey, what's that music list? They're like, it's beach music. It's the music we heard at the beach. It's not black music. It's not race records. It's beach music. And then those same artists, in certain parts of the South, as we got deeper into the 60s, could make a nice little circuit on going to some of those college towns where those kids had spent the summer, and you could go to a UVA or a UNC fraternity. Probably weren't going to an Ole Miss fraternity, but there were some universities in the South you could go to and play certain fraternities. Then that led to the people who were in school, white folks who saw that and said, oh, we could do 4 dudes in a suit and sing My Girl and whatever, and then we can write our own one original hit that's about beach music. Either I love beach music or it's beach music days, or you just had to have one original hit. Then you just sang all the R&B tunes, and you could make that same circuit, and you could go to some of the universities and fraternities that wouldn't hire certain artists. So
very smart.
That's your history of beach music, why it's kind of important and integral to North Carolina. And so thank you guys for allowing me to share.
To get to lightning round, a lot to get to.
So you went to the state fair yesterday.
Yep, I respect. I know it's partly just because Joe Ovius likes to eat, but I respect that you guys have continued to make the North Carolina State Fair, a part of what you do. You guys keep it local, and I think that's what people appreciate about you. The one thing I would say to folks, as I've always encouraged people who move here from other states, it's cool that you are still a Bruins fan or a Rangers fan or whatever you are. But if you raise kids here, they should be Canes fans. They should have the same ability of being 8 years old and living in the town where they see their kid, right?
Like
so I'm not asking, and that can be their second favorite team. You can teach them, but like, don't make your kid be a Bruins fan if he's growing up in Raleigh. Likewise, you don't have to embrace everything. I mean, I joke with you guys about barbecue and music and things like that. If you live in North Carolina, I think you should make an attempt, especially if you live in Raleigh and it's not like a big trip. You should make an attempt to go to the state fair. I consider the state fair like the radio dial. You tell me you don't listen to the radio, that's fine. You can't tell me there is nothing. There's not one station, right? Whether you want talk, whether you want any type of music, gospel, Spanish, country, R&B, I could find something right at the radio dial. Now, 90% of it I don't want. And I feel like that's what the state fair is. There are a lot of things in the state fair I don't want to do. And people love to tell you about the things that they don't want to do, and that's why they don't go. Well, then just go do the things you do. I went with my wife. We took our moms last night, and we did all the old people stuff. We walked around. There are competitions where your state, your fellow North Carolinians are trying to bake the best biscuits and best cakes or grow the best looking tobacco or okra, or they got the best pig or whatever. And those are just kind of fun to see and be reminded this is the state you're in. There's stuff that kids do. You don't have to go on the games of the Midway. And if you're smart, over the years, you found a food spot or two, like Al's French fries that I love. And if you're smart, you've figured out that on a weekday, I'm not going to give you my parking tip. Just know that there is a place where you can drive almost traffic-free, park for free, walk not very far, and get dropped off at the State Fair's front door. Some of these were also in place during the outdoor game. But again, like I'm done giving you all the secrets and pulling away mine. But if you just sit in here, there's too much traffic, you're not doing your homework. Do a little bit of homework, you can get in there. But the last thing about the State Fair, and I'm going to put this to you gambling, I set every year the over-under of my weight at 200 because the official North Carolina weights and measurements always has a spot at the fair where you step on a scale and they stamp it and it is your official North Carolina weight. I set it at 200. I like to be under. Some years I'm over. Do you want to guess what I was last night? I can stand up if you want to look at me. I got my official weight. I did have shoes on and clothes on, but I'm counting it as official.
Okay. 197.
I was actually 200.0. Exactly
Really?
200 pounds. Yes.
That's amazing.
And truly, you're on the scale and it's going up quickly and then it's like slowing. I'm like, press the button, man. It's like 199.7. It's good, And he pressed it. I truly thought he was going to lock in on 199.9 and to like print it out and it was 200. I was like, So find that place. That's another cool thing you can do every year at the fair. I appreciate your time letting me talk beach music and NC State Fair and helping keep the best sports podcast in North Carolina super local. I appreciate you guys having me in here. Thank you.
All right, buddy. We will see you soon. We got to work on this guerrilla coverage of the Christmas parade.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
We'll get it done soon. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, guys.
Big thanks to our friends at Mosquito Authority, Pest Authority. You got to get rid of those bugs outside the house. Maybe there's some ants inside the house just kind of hanging around. Well, hit them up. It's bugsbite.com. I have a moisture barrier underneath my house. I got to tell you, it saves you a lot of headaches. They do a lot more than just get rid of bugs and mice and some other critters. So hit up my friends at Mosquito Authority, Pest Authority. That's bugsbite.com. Big thanks to our friends at Color Graphic. All of my pictures and signs that you see here in the studio are from our good friends at Color Graphic. That's sales at colorgraphic.com. Whether you need your car wrapped, whether you need signs for a golf tournament, whether you need a sandwich board to advertise what you're doing maybe at a remote, these are all things that Color Graphic can handle. Golf balls, Color Graphic can itemize golf balls as well. So big shouts to Glenn. They do such a great job over at Color Graphic. And speaking of doing a great job, millerlending.com. It's the no closing costs loan. It's that simple. There's no fees, and no one does it better than Gordon Miller and Austin Herbert at millerlending.com. It's 919-447-3377. Maybe you need to cash out refi. Maybe you're moving. Maybe you're selling. Maybe you're buying a house. These are all reasons. Have a conversation. See what you can afford. See what can help you maybe consolidate some of your debt. 919-447-3377. All right, let's get out of here with some of your Hey Joe comments on the YouTube sections. Hey Joe is brought to you by Nature's Relief. 919-444-2211. That's the sports phone. We only have those when Joe Ovius is around, though. But Nature's Relief, they're always around. You can hit them up in Garner. You hit them on Western Boulevard. You can hit them up off of Glenwood on Holly Oak. Nature's Relief, they got all your gummies, smokables, things that can help you sleep, things that can just help you chill out, a lot of different drinks. So hit them up. It's Nature's Relief Hemp Store. All right, let's start with Balaki. College football has lost its collective minds, and I think that some have always been whacked out. But now with the expanded playoff more than ever, they think they can make it, and you're asking fans and donors to invest more than ever. So now you get hotter seats than you have seen in the past. I do not think this is good, and with the expansion of the playoff, the bowls, and making one seems to be more and more irrelevant to fan bases. Yeah, I mean, I hear your point. I don't lament the loss of bowls. I don't lament the valuing of winning 6 games, getting to a bowl, or winning 7 games and being happy with a season. I do lament, though. I saw an Iowa podcaster say, if you're waiting for Iowa and Iowa State to win a national championship and you're going to base the whole season on just winning a national championship, well, you could just go ahead and be disappointed forever because it's never going to happen. So I do get that. There's really only 5 or 6 teams in a given year that can win a national championship. And it's been proven that the ones in the state of North Carolina are not on that list. So I get that. I do think, though, you have to be happy with some of the wins that you do get. It could be a game like Virginia earlier this year for NC State, where you beat a team that's going to likely now show up in the ACC championship game. If you're Duke, you could be happy that you beat NC State for a 3rd year in a row. You should be happy if you beat Carolina, which will probably happen. And if you're Carolina, I do think they have a chance. I know Virginia's running hot. But strange things happen. Maybe the Tar Heels can pop one, like I said. How about from Chung Yeezy? Florida State's problem is the guy that was supposed to eat shit after the BC lost last year. Like, yeah, if you're not familiar, they had a fan go online and basically said, if we lose to Boston College, I will eat a cup of, I think it was dog shit. He did not. And so far they have been 1-11 since that promise was made, but not fulfilled. So let's see what else we had. We went from, let's go to this episode, which requires me using my skills, which sometimes can be a little bit airy. Let's go back to the episode about the Panthers. We were talking about the Panthers. I thought this comment about we ain't good, but we ain't bad, from Panther Gal. We ain't good, but we ain't bad either. Keep pounding. And then Meow Mix ought to threaten to revive the podcast and see if David Tepper will pay them to stay off the air and keep the Panthers winning. Right? If you're unfamiliar, Meow Mix was a podcast that basically said, "Hey, we can't waste our time doing this anymore." And once they did that, the Panthers started winning. So the Panthers haven't lost since Meow Mix went off the air. I would do that same thing, Corey. I would be like, "Yeah, no, we're coming back unless you pay us to stay away." So that's going to do it for today. Big thanks to Hayes Parmar for filling in for Joe Ovius. Joe will be back tomorrow. We'll be live tomorrow at 2:00. It's an OG Butcher's Market Live. We'll see you guys then.